still remember the first time I saw her, like it happened just yesterday. The new school year had just begun, and the campus was alive with energy students, laughing and chatting. The faint aroma of coffee drifting from the dorm cafe, and warm morning sunlight streaming through the classroom windows. I, usually someone who kept to myself and observed from a distance, found my eyes inexplicably drawn to a girl sitting alone in the corner of the hallway. She seemed a little shy, her hair falling naturally around her face, eyes flicking around as if measuring the world carefully, but when she smiled at someone she knew, my heart skipped a beat. I didn't know what to call that feeling: curiosity, or maybe something deeper, a rare spark I'd hardly felt with anyone else. But in that moment, I knew I wanted to get closer, to understand her. There was something about her that was simple yet captivating, a kind of pure energy I couldn't put into words. And in her smile, I felt a little safe world opening up, warm, welcoming, and inviting. Over the next few days, I found every excuse to be near her. At first, it was small things, asking about homework, class assignments, or commenting on the dorm. Then our conversation slowly grew into little stories about our daily routines, breakfast habits, or how she chose her spot in the cafeteria. Every time she spoke, her gentle, thoughtful voice made me feel something unfamiliar, like someone had just flicked a switch inside me. She was modest, a little shy, yet she had a way of making me feel special, like my presence actually mattered. I began to notice the moments I treasured most. The first time she invited me to lunch at the dorm cafeteria, we stood in line together, joking about the food choices. Then she said, "You always make things around you so much fun." My heart jumped, not just because of the words, but because I sensed her sincerity in her eyes. She enjoyed being with me not as a casual friend, but as someone important. And before I even realized it, I was feeling more than friendship. We started spending more time together. Late afternoons after class, golden sunlight spilling across campus, we'd walk and talk about everything from movies to our personal hobbies, even the little dreams we'd never shared with anyone else. I discovered she loved music, read avidly, and sometimes, when she felt comfortable, shared stories she'd never told other friends. It felt like I'd been chosen to step into a secret world just for us, a world where everything was gentle and warm. But what surprised me most was how she saw me, not with admiration or casual praise, but with real attention, noticing even the smallest details about me. When I talked about rough days, she'd listen, nod, and softly say, "Don't stress too much. Everything will be fine." I had never felt so seen before, and it made my heart flutter more and more each day. One evening, we sat together on the dorm steps, twilight casting a soft glow, the yellow light reflecting in her hair. She smiled, and I couldn't look away. I wanted to tell her I liked her, that I wanted more than just friendship, but the words got stuck in my throat. So I stayed quiet, savoring the peaceful moment. And she, maybe sensing something in my eyes, reached out and held my hand naturally, like a silent understanding. My heart felt like it could burst, yet I'd never been happier. Weeks went by, and we grew closer. Every time she texted or called asking, "Want to grab coffee?" or "Are you free today?" my heart would skip a beat. I started imagining a future where we weren't just friends, but a real couple. Simple dates, strolling across campus in the afternoon, sharing stories only we could understand. Each thought made me so happy it was almost overwhelming. But along with the happiness came a subtle unease. She was quiet, reserved, And sometimes, when I saw her talking to others, my chest tightened with a vague jealousy of fear of losing something I didn't even officially have. I told myself not to overthink it, that we were just friends, but deep down I knew I was falling for her, and I had no idea if she felt the same way. It was a strange mix of joy and anxiety. Every smile, every glance, every little conversation brought happiness, but also worry about whether she truly saw me as someone special or just an amazing friend. I noticed every tiny detail, the way she laughed, how she placed her hands, how her eyes searched for me in a crowd. Everything felt significant, and I realized I'd been swept up in my feelings without even noticing. And then one day, when I was lost in that happiness, I had no idea my world was about to change completely. A piece of news would soon shatter me, break my heart, and force me to face a choice I never imagined. But for now, in those first few weeks, everything was pure sweetness, sunlit afternoons, shared laughter, and the first sparks of a connection I never wanted to end. I'll never forget the moment my world came crashing down. It was just an ordinary afternoon, right after class, as we walked back to the dorm. The sky had turned grey, heavy clouds stretching across the horizon, as if foreshadowing the storm about to hit my heart. I was holding my phone, about to text her, asking if she wanted to grab some tea, when a classmate, someone I barely knew, dropped a line that made my blood run cold. "Hey, did you know she's dating someone who looks exactly like you?" At first, I laughed it off, thinking it was a joke. But then he sent a photo in the group chat, and everything froze. It was true. Her boyfriend looked just like me. Same build, same features, even the same way of carrying himself. A cold shiver ran down my spine, my chest tightened, and a hollow ache spread through me. I stood there, stunned, unsure of what to feel or what to do. Why him? Why not me? I had spent weeks with her, sharing laughter, stories, quiet afternoons where the world felt safe and simple. And now she had chosen someone who was essentially my mirror. The emotions crashed over me in waves: anger, heartbreak, betrayal, and the endless, nagging question of what did I do wrong. Part of me wanted to storm over and demand an explanation. Why him? But the other, quieter part of me knew there was no answer that would make sense. So I stayed silent, retreating for days, avoiding texts, avoiding her, giving myself space to breathe, to think, to survive. Those days were suffocating. I missed our walks across campus, her laughter, the way she leaned in when telling a story, how her eyes always seemed to find mine. Every memory was both comforting and excruciating. I kept asking myself, had I been expecting too much, hoping for something that was never really possible? But reality didn't bend to my wishes. From a distance, I watched her hold his hand, laughed at his jokes, whispered to him like we had once whispered to each other. Part of me burned with jealousy, with hurt, with a sense of abandonment, but strangely, another part of me felt a small relief. She was happy, and I had to remind myself that loving someone doesn't give me the right to dictate their happiness. Then things became even more complicated. I confided in a friend about how I felt. Instead of comfort, I got judgment. She called me creepy and warned me bluntly: either confess my feelings to her or stop pursuing her, or she would tell the girl everything. I felt trapped, stuck in a situation with no clear way out. I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't want to ruin our friendship. But I also couldn't deny the storm raging inside me. That night, sitting alone in my room, the weight of it all crushed me. I asked myself over and over, what did I do wrong? Was I asking too much from life? I loved her. I cherished every second we had shared. And yet, seeing her happy with someone else hurt more than I could bear. I realized then that loving someone often means accepting truths your heart refuses to accept, and that sometimes the deepest pain comes not from loss itself, but from letting go of what you cannot have in those quiet, aching moments. I began to learn slowly how to hold my emotions in check, how to find balance. I realized friendship was precious, and some things are worth more than the pursuit of desire. But the pain didn't vanish. It lingered quiet, sharp, a constant reminder that loving someone is a journey full of joy, sorrow, and unpredictable turns. So I moved forward. I still spent time with her. I still laughed, talked, shared moments, but I knew things had changed. Our connection carried a new depth now, tinged with a hidden ache and an unspoken question that had no easy answer. Could my heart survive this? Or was I destined to watch her happiness unfold while remaining forever on the sidelines? The days after I found out she was dating someone else were the first time I truly understood how complicated maintaining a friendship could be. Every time she texted me or asked to hang out, my heart would leap with joy, but just as quickly, a sharp pang of pain would hit me. There were moments when her smile could make me forget all my heartbreak, and yet, a single glance she gave him would make my chest tighten painfully. One afternoon, we went for a walk around campus. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and the golden late afternoon sunlight cast a glow on her hair, making her look like a living painting. I tried to stay calm, to laugh and talk as usual, but every gesture, every expression of hers made me want to burst out all the feelings I had been holding back. I wanted to tell her, I love you. I want to be with you. But the words stuck in my throat. She talked about her days with her new boyfriend, about their jokes, their little dates, the stories they shared. Every word felt like a knife to my heart. I forced myself to smile, to nod, trying to seem normal, but inside, I was unraveling. I kept asking myself, why does it hurt so much to see her happy? Why has our friendship become so complicated? Despite the pain, I realized something important. Our friendship was precious, and I didn't want to lose her completely. So, I learned to control my emotions, to stay by her side as a friend, to share and listen without letting my feelings dictate my actions. I knew that any impulsive move could ruin everything one day. As we sat on the steps outside the dorm, her boyfriend walked by, his eyes immediately fixed on me, suspicious and jealous. I felt a sudden rush of heat, but instead of getting angry or avoiding him, I smiled politely and continued talking to her. In that moment, I realized that our relationship had changed completely. It had become a delicate game of emotion scare, jealousy, hope, and acceptance all intertwined. Nights alone in my dorm were the clearest. I thought about every smile, every glance, every story she had shared. I wondered, am I selfish for wanting to maintain this connection, knowing she belongs to someone else? Yet, deep down, I still wanted to be near her, even just as a friend, even if it meant my heart ached silently. I began questioning myself. Was I really in love with her, or was I in love with the idea of an ideal friend I had imagined? I realized that loving someone isn't about owning them. It's about accepting their happiness, even when you aren't part of it. I had to learn to balance my own feelings with respect for her choices. Another evening, We watched a movie she liked in the common room. I tried to immerse myself in the story, but my eyes couldn't help tracking her reactions. A smile, a sigh, a glance turned just so. Each detail made my heart flutter. I felt both close and distant, happy and hurt at the same time. This feeling would linger, testing my patience, my growth, and my ability to accept reality. One day, while she was busy with studies and group activities, I sat alone outside, staring at the grey sky. I thought about the months we had spent together, the small, sweet moments, her smile, her glance that I had cherished. The loneliness was overwhelming, and I understood that my feelings were now silent, subtle, and full of turmoil. Then something else happened. I confided in a close friend about my feelings. She warned me that if I didn't admit my emotions or step back, things could get complicated. I felt trapped between two choices: confess and risk losing our friendship, or stay silent and endure the quiet pain. That's when I realized growing up isn't easy. Sometimes loving someone means keeping a distance, even when your heart longs for them. In the days that followed, I tried to maintain calm. I smiled, shared, listened, and enjoyed every moment with her without pressuring myself or her. I knew that every smile, every story, every glance was precious. Despite the pain, I still wanted to be by her side, even as a friend. I realized that in love and friendship, joy and pain are intertwined, and every moment is worth cherishing, and deep down, one thing remained certain: no matter the challenges, the heartache, or the jealousy, I still wanted to be with her, even if only as a friend, even if my heart still loved her quietly and deeply. I knew the road ahead would be long, full of difficult choices, and every step required careful thought. But one thing I understood clearly: friendship and genuine feelings are never meaningless, and I would protect them with all my heart. The weeks that followed felt more complicated than ever. I still spent time with her, but the atmosphere had changed. Every time her boyfriend appeared, a silent tension spread through the air. His gaze was sharp, full of suspicion and subtle jealousy, every time I laughed or talked with her. It became clear that our relationship was no longer simple. It was a delicate game of emotions, where every move was observed, analyzed, and could be misunderstood. One evening, we were at a coffee shop near the dorm. The air had been calm until he showed up, standing right behind her. I felt his piercing gaze, full of mistrust and quiet anger. My chest tightened with a mix of frustration and helplessness. How could he have the person I cared about, seemingly without me knowing? Why was I forced into the role of the silent friend, while my heart was burning with feelings I couldn't express? She seemed to notice the tension, but gave me a gentle smile and briefly placed her hand on mine, a subtle reassurance. I couldn't describe the mix of happiness, pain, and confusion that surged through me. Part of me wanted to hold her hand longer, to say everything I had been holding inside, but reason reminded me to hold back. I knew that confessing my love could ruin everything we had. Things grew even more complicated when I accidentally overheard a conversation between her and her boyfriend. They laughed and discussed plans for the week, reminiscing about small moments they had shared. Each story, each shared memory felt like another knife in my heart. I felt both present and irrelevant by her side, but not truly belonging to her. That night, the inner struggle intensified. I questioned whether I should confess my feelings or continue to stay silent to protect our friendship. Every choice came with a price. Speaking out risked losing her, risking tension with her boyfriend, potentially destroying everything. Staying silent meant enduring the quiet pain, but maintaining the precious closeness we had. That's when I realized that growing up isn't easy. Sometimes loving someone means standing beside them, protecting their happiness, even if it hurts. The next few days were a careful balance. We laughed, shared stories, and enjoyed each other's company without letting emotions spiral out of control. Even with him around and my heart aching, I reminded myself that friendship and genuine care are priceless, and I wouldn't let anyone ruin that dud. Then, unexpectedly, she confided something to me. She said she valued our friendship deeply and sometimes noticed the difference I brought compared to her boyfriend. Her words brought a rush of joy and confusion. I didn't know how to respond. Piquing my heart could complicate everything, while staying silent meant more quiet suffering that night. Sitting alone in my room under the warm glow of my lamp, I made a decision. I needed to grow stronger, to find a balance between friendship and my feelings. Growing up isn't always easy. Sometimes it means keeping distance, learning to endure, learning to love without possession, and deep inside, one thing was clear: no matter the trials, the heartbreak, or the jealousy, I still wanted to be near her, even as just a friend, even if my heart still loved her quietly. I wanted to cherish every moment with her and learn from the pain. True feelings. I realized I couldn't keep living in this half-happy, half-painful limbo forever. My heart was still yearning, but my mind reminded me that any wrong move could ruin our friendship, maybe even hurt her. One afternoon, we sat together on a bench outside campus, sunlight streaming through the trees. I decided that I couldn't stay silent any longer. She was talking about her recent days, about dates with her boyfriend, about the little memories they had created. Every word felt like another knife to my heart. I smiled, nodded, trying to appear normal, but inside, my emotions were spilling over. I took a deep breath and started sharing with her some of the moments we had spent together, the times that had made me genuinely happy, and my fear that if I stayed silent, she might never truly understand how I felt. I could see her eyes widen in surprise, then soften with attention, like she was trying to take in every word. But just as I began opening up, her boyfriend appeared. He stood a short distance away, his gaze cold and sharp, clearly sensing the shift in the air. My heart raced with nervousness and tension, but I chose to continue. I knew if I backed down now, I would regret it. I looked straight into her eyes, trying to convey all the sincerity, all the feelings I had kept locked away for so long. She stayed silent, her eyes reflecting both confusion and concern. I told her I didn't want to ruin our friendship, but I also couldn't pretend my heart didn't race every time I was with her. I wanted her to know that these feelings were real, and that I always wanted the best for her, no matter who she chose to be with. Her boyfriend stepped closer, his voice tense. "What's going on here?" I inhaled, keeping my tone calm yet firm. "We were just talking." I wanted her to understand my feelings, nothing more, nothing less. The air was thick with tension. She looked at both of us, wide-eyed, hand pressed to her chest, as if trying to breathe normally while under pressure. I felt the intensity, but also the fragile trust she still extended toward me after a few moments. She gently placed her hand over mine. "I hear what you're saying, but I also have a responsibility to my current relationship. I need some time to think." Her words were both reassurance and a warning. I knew that nothing was simple anymore. We had entered a space where every step had to be measured, and every choice could change everything. That night, I sat alone in my dorm room under the soft glow of my lamp, reflecting on the confrontation, her gaze, and the tension with her boyfriend. My heart ached, but at the same time, I felt a subtle release. Finally, I had stopped hiding my feelings. I had faced the truth. No matter the outcome, I had dared to be honest with myself. In the days that followed, things were still complicated, but lighter in a way. She seemed to be thinking more, looking at me differently, thoughtful, attentive, contemplative. I learnt patience, how to observe without pushing, how to love without demanding. Every moment with her became both precious and delicate, requiring balance between friendship and love. I also realized that my dynamic with her boyfriend wasn't just silent competition anymore. It was a challenge to my emotional control, patience, and maturity. I learned to see things from multiple perspectives. I couldn't make her choose me, but I could choose to love her sincerely and grow from it. And deep inside, one thing was clear. No matter the challenges ahead, I still wanted to be near her, even just as a friend. Even if my heart quietly loved her, I wanted to cherish every moment we had together and embrace the growth that came from the pain. After weeks of tension, the closeness between her and me was no longer the same. Every time I saw her, my heart still ached, yet there was a depth of connection I'd never experienced with anyone else. We still laughed, still talked, still shared small daily stories. But now, every moment carried nuance, consideration, and hidden emotions only we could understand. One afternoon, we decided to take a walk around campus. The sunlight filtered gently through the trees, birds chirped, and the entire scene felt impossibly serene. Yet inside me, everything was chaotic and tense. I knew today would be important. I had to speak up, face my true feelings, or I would regret it for the rest of my life. We stopped at a wooden bench by the sparkling campus pond. I took a deep breath, searching for safety in her eyes. "I can't stay silent anymore," I said, voice shaky but resolute. "What I feel, what I have for you, it's really important to me. I don't want to lose you, but I also can't pretend my heart is normal." She was silent for a long moment, eyes wide, her gaze a mixture of confusion and thoughtfulness. I felt the tension radiate from her every gesture, my heartbeat pounding. I saw her frown, hands curling slightly, then relax a struggle between her true feelings and her responsibility to her boyfriend. Just as I was about to continue, her boyfriend appeared from behind, stepping closer, his eyes sharp, his tone tense. "What's going on here?" I took a deep breath, keeping my voice calm but firm. "We're just talking," I replied. I just wanted her to understand my feelings. Time seemed to freeze. She looked at us, eyes wide with pressure, while I felt every beat of my racing heart. He stepped closer, tense but controlled, yet I didn't back down. I knew if I did, I would regret it forever. She gently placed her hand over mine, eyes soft yet worried. "I hear you, but I also have a responsibility to my current relationship. I need time to think, to understand what I truly want." Her words were reassurance and warning at the same time. I knew her decision would affect everything. I felt the weight of the situation, but also the fragile trust she still gave me a trust. Precious and delicate, the days that followed were filled with pent-up emotions. I tried to stay composed, smiling, talking, sharing, but inside, my anticipation and hope mingled with fear. Her gaze seemed different each time she looked at me, thoughtful, sometimes tender in ways I hadn't seen before. One evening, we were working on a group project together. Seeing her smile under the warm classroom lights, I realized that every moment with her was more precious than anything else. I understood that loving someone wasn't just about the thrill of feelings, it was about cherishing each moment, however brief, however uncertain. Meanwhile, her relationship with her boyfriend grew tense. He still watched, still scrutinized, but it seemed he was beginning to realize that what existed between us was not simple. One day, he came up to me, voice serious. "I know you like her, but you have to understand she's with me. I don't want conflict, but you shouldn't cross any boundaries." I looked him in the eye, calm yet firm. "I understand. I don't want to ruin anything. I just wanted her to know my true feelings. I won't cross any boundaries." That conversation taught me that growing up isn't just about controlling your own emotions, it's about respecting others' choices. I had to stand firm, not be swept away by momentary feelings, yet maintain honesty and sincerity in my heart. Then one night, sitting with her on the dorm balcony, gazing at the city lights in the distance, she turned to me with a contemplative look. I need you by my side, but I also need time to figure out what I really want. I know you care about me a lot, and I really appreciate that." I smiled, feeling a mix of relief and anticipation. Finally, I had faced my feelings, spoken my heart, and she was beginning to show genuine care in return. The road ahead was still long and filled with challenges, but for the first time, things weren't just silent, painful longing, they were hope. Hope that our friendship and feelings could grow into something real and deep inside. One thing was certain: no matter how difficult the road ahead, no matter how anxious my heart might be, I wanted to be by her side, to cherish every moment, and to move forward with all the courage I had. In the days following my confession, the atmosphere between us became both tense and intimate. I noticed she was thinking more, her eyes occasionally softening in ways I had rarely seen before. Yet, I also sensed the worry and confusion in every small gesture she made. It was clear she was weighing everything seriously: her feelings for me, her responsibility to her boyfriend, and her friendship with me. One rainy afternoon, we sat together in the library, 2 steaming cups of coffee between us. The gentle patter of rain against the windows created a soothing yet slightly melancholic soundtrack. She stared out the window in silence, then turned to me, her gaze thoughtful. I don't even know what to say. I feel so confused. I'm scared of letting you down, but I'm also scared of ruining everything." Hearing her words, my heart ached. I knew she was being honest, yet bound by fear and responsibility. I gently took her hand, trying to convey calm and reassurance. "I understand. I'm not asking you to make a choice right now. I just want you to know how I feel. Everything else is up to you." She exhaled slowly, her eyes full of conflict. I've never felt this way before. I like you, but I also care about my current relationship. I don't want to hurt anyone, and I also don't want to lose you as a friend." I nodded, feeling the weight of her words, but also a glimmer of hope. At least she was being honest and thinking about me, rather than ignoring the situation. I realized our friendship might be transforming into something deeper, but every step needed to be handled with care. In the following days, We spent more time together, not to pressure decisions, but to understand each other better. We walked around campus, studied together, shared small stories about our families, dreams, and silly things that made us laugh. Each moment made me realize that love isn't just about romantic feelings, it's about connection, care, and irreplaceable presence. Yet tension never fully disappeared. Her boyfriend still monitored our every interaction, his gaze often showing suspicion and, at times, jealousy. One day, while we were at a cafe, he approached us, his tone firm. "You two seem a little too close. You need to understand boundaries, or else." I took a deep breath, staying calm but firm. "I understand. I'm not trying to cross any boundaries. I just care and want to protect this friendship." He stared at me for a moment, then left without another word. I knew the pressure was still there, but I also understood I was learning patience, learning to love without possession, learning to respect her choices and the presence of someone else. Another evening, sitting together on the dorm balcony, city lights sparkling in the distance, she turned to me with a thoughtful look. "I want to try understanding my own feelings. I'm not sure what I'll do, but I know you care and are always there. That means a lot to me." Hearing her say this, my heart swelled with happiness, but also weighed with responsibility. I knew the next step would be crucial. Could we transition from friendship to a real romantic relationship, or would this remain a delicate closeness, suspended in uncertainty? In the days that followed, we shared many joyful moments, but also countless tense, anxious ones. Dinner outings, study sessions, walks under tree-lined paths. Every place held its own story. Every glance carried meaning. I realized that each moment with her was precious and could determine the next turning point. Her boyfriend appeared in several situations, attempting to assert control, his eyes watchful, but sometimes revealing insecurity when seeing our closeness. Once, while we were studying in a group, he approached me, serious. "Do you even realize what you're doing? You need to know your limits, or else." I looked him straight in the eyes, calm but unwavering. "I know my limits. I don't want to ruin anything. I just want her to know how I feel. I won't cross any lines." That conversation taught me that growing up isn't just about controlling your own emotions, it's about respecting other people's choices. I had to stand firm, resist being swept away by temporary feelings, and yet remain honest and sincere with my heart. Another evening, sitting by the campus lake under the reflection of the moon, she held my hand, her eyes sparkling. I know you care a lot about me, but I need time to figure out what I truly want. I don't want anyone to get hurt, and I don't want to lose you either." Hearing her say this, I felt both joy and anxiety. For the first time, she was seriously considering her feelings, not just speaking casually. At that moment, I understood that friendship and love could intertwine, but it required patience, maturity, and acceptance of any outcome. Over the next few weeks, we experienced many things together. Late-night study sessions, long conversations about dreams and fears, quiet moments just laughing at each other, sharing stories about family and friends. Every moment strengthened the connection between us. I realized love is sometimes not about possession, but about patience, companionship, and understanding in silence. Deep in my heart, one thing became clear. No matter what decisions lie ahead, I want to be by her side. Not just as a friend, but as someone who shares, protects, and walks with her through the journey of growth, love, and facing every challenge together. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of pent-up emotions. Every time we met, my heart throbbed with a mix of sweetness and anxiety. I noticed her starting to look at me differently, longer glances, subtle smiles filled with hidden meaning, but always tinged with hesitation. It was clear she was wrestling with her feelings. One evening, we walked around campus, the soft yellow glow of the streetlights casting long shadows across the tree-lined paths. A cold breeze swept past, and I instinctively held her hand a little tighter. She didn't pull away. That moment seemed to stretch endlessly, both intimate and charged with tension. She was quiet for a moment, then sighed. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. My heart is all tangled, and I'm scared that if I make the wrong choice, everything could fall apart. I looked her in the eyes, calm but firm. I don't want you to act out of pressure or fear, but I need you to know how I feel. I've always been here, and I'll continue to be here, no matter what happens. Tears welled up in her eyes, her voice trembling. I'm scared. Scared that if I follow my heart, someone might get hurt. But I also don't want to lose you. I've never felt this way about anyone before. Hearing her words, my chest tightened with joy mixed with worry. I pulled her down onto a bench by the campus lake, moonlight shimmering across the water. The world seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of us. I held her hands and looked deeply into her eyes. I can't hide my feelings anymore. I love you, truly. I'll do everything I can to protect you, to make sure no one gets hurt. She stayed silent for a moment, tears streaming, then placed her hand over mine gently. I love you too, but I need time to be sure. I don't want to regret this. Time seemed to freeze. I could feel the truth in her heart, a sincerity I'd never seen before. I knew this was a turning point. She was acknowledging her true feelings, yet she still had to wrestle with reason and responsibility. In the days that followed, everything became more subtle. We spent time together, but every gesture, every look, was loaded with meaning. I could feel our connection deepening, even as the pressure from her current relationship lingered. One afternoon, while we were studying in the library, her boyfriend appeared. He didn't say anything at first, just stood and stared. The tension was so thick I could hear my own heartbeat. But she, for the first time, looked at me with determination. I have to talk to him. I need to be honest about my feelings. I gently squeezed her hand. I'll be here with you. No matter what happens, you won't be alone. She nodded, trembling slightly, but her eyes were resolute. Clearly, she had decided to face the truth, even if it meant confronting difficult challenges. I could feel a strong, courageous energy radiating from her. Mingled with fear, another night, we sat on the dorm balcony, city lights sparkling below. She turned to me, voice shaking but determined. I'm going to tell him. I can't live without knowing what my heart truly wants, and you are my answer. Hearing her say that, my heart exploded with joy. I gently pulled her into my arms, feeling her heartbeat sync with mine. Everything else faded away, the world, the pressure, the fears, leaving just us and the raw honesty of our feelings. That night, we poured our hearts out to each other, confessing things we had never shared. We spoke of worries, moments of weakness, dreams, and fears about the future. Every word, every glance, was filled with sincerity and determination. I realized our connection had grown beyond friendship or infatuation. It had become something real, strong, and profound. The following days were a delicate balance of joy and challenge. We still spent time together, studied together, laughed together. But we also had to navigate pressures from our surroundings, her boyfriend, and the insecurities within ourselves. Every moment felt precious, every smile meaningful. I understood that true love requires patience, understanding, and the courage to face reality. Deep in my heart, I knew one thing. The turning point had arrived. She had begun to acknowledge her true feelings, and I was ready to stand by her, not just to love, but to protect, support, and walk with her through every challenge ahead. Those past days had pushed my emotions to the limit. Every time we met, my heart raced as if it might leap right out of my chest. Tangled mix of joy, anticipation, and anxiety so sharp it almost paralyzed me. I could see it in her eyes, too, a subtle blend of tenderness and worry, fleeting smiles that carried unspoken questions, and distant glances that made me feel she was both here and somewhere far away, lost in thought. I knew the most important decision of her life was just ahead, and all I could do was stand beside her, patient and steady, so she could face the truth feeling safe. One late autumn afternoon, golden sunlight filtered through the falling leaves, casting a warm glow over the tree-lined path. We sat on a bench, our hands wrapped around cups of steaming coffee, the chill in the air sharpening every heartbeat. She was quiet, gripping her cup so tightly her knuckles were white, her body trembling ever so slightly. I took a deep breath, forcing calm into my own voice as I finally spoke. "Are you ready to talk? I'll listen, everything. No judgment, no pressure." She looked away at the trees, took a long, shaky breath, and then spoke, her voice quivering but carrying determination. "I need to talk to him. I can't keep living in this mess of emotions. My heart, it's tangled, and I need to know what I truly want." I gently took her hand in mine, letting her feel a calm reassurance. "I'll be here. Whatever happens, you won't be alone." We walked toward her dorm, where her boyfriend was in the common room. The tension in the air was almost tangible. Each step seemed louder than the last, each heartbeat echoing in my chest. She drew in a deep breath and stepped forward, her voice trembling yet steady. "We need to talk." He turned to her, eyes tense, searching. "What do you want to say?" She met his gaze directly, unwavering. I've realized my true feelings. I can't continue this relationship. I need time to understand myself, and I want to end things here." The silence that followed was thick, almost suffocating. He froze, his expression flickering between shock, pain, and reluctant acceptance. For a long moment, no words came. He even turned briefly, swallowing hard, as if the words themselves were poison. I rested a steadying hand on her shoulder, silently conveying, "I'm here. You're safe." She turned to me then, tears streaking her cheeks, a fragile smile breaking through the fear and relief. "Thank you for always being here, for understanding me and never pressuring me." I don't even know how to say it, except thank you. We walked back along the leaf-strewn path in silence. Each step seemed to release months of worry, guilt, and uncertainty. I held her hand, feeling the rhythm of her heartbeat match my own. For the first time, we felt the freedom of truth, no more hiding. No more fear, just honest emotion and mutual respect. The following days became a gentle time of healing and rebuilding. We spent hours talking, laughing, studying together, but now every shared moment carried a new depth of trust. I noticed a change in her, softer yet more confident, her eyes bright with joy whenever she looked at me. One evening, we sat on the dorm balcony, looking out over the city lights, golden street lamps, painting a calm, romantic glow. She held my hand, her voice steady, full of conviction. I know I made the right choice. My heart is truly with you, and I won't let anything break that. I felt my chest swell with happiness. I pulled her close, whispering softly, "Me too. I promise I'll always be by your side, protect you, and face every challenge with you." From then on, our days were filled with small yet profoundly meaningful joys. Late-night study sessions, long walks under the trees, cooking together, laughing freely. Each moment felt sacred, built on honesty and genuine love. One morning, as we tidied up the study room together, she paused and looked at me thoughtfully. I realized, love isn't just about feelings or infatuation. It's patience. It's the courage to face the truth. It's walking through hardships together. I nodded, my heart swelling. Every challenge we'd faced had become a stepping stone, forging a bond stronger than I'd ever imagined. She had chosen truth, and I had chosen to stand beside her, ready for whatever storms life might throw at us. That weekend, we walked around the campus lake, moonlight shimmering on the water like liquid silver. We held hands, laughing, sharing small but infinitely meaningful stories, childhood memories, dreams, hopes we'd never told anyone else. In that moment, I understood something profound. True love isn't about possession. It's about respect, patience, and understanding. And with her, I knew finally that love wasn't just a dream or a fleeting hope anymore. It was real. After that night by the lake, our days settled into a rhythm that was comforting yet exhilarating. We woke each morning with small routines that felt sacred: coffee in the quiet kitchen, lingering glances across the table, teasing remarks as we walked to class. The ordinary became extraordinary simply because we experienced it together. I realized that love wasn't always about grand gestures. It thrived in consistency, in shared laughter, and the silent reassurance of just being there. We started venturing further around campus, exploring places neither of us had noticed before. Hidden gardens behind old buildings, sunlit corners of the library, and quiet alcoves by the dormitories became ours. Each discovery was like a secret kept between us, strengthening the invisible bond. She'd point out a twisted branch or a flower blooming in an unexpected place, and we'd pause to admire it. Moments like these taught me that love is in the details, the attention to life and to each other. Evenings became our cherished time. We cooked together often, experimenting with new dishes and laughing when things went hilariously wrong. One night, I tried to flip a pancake and it ended up on the floor. She laughed so hard she doubled over, flicking a little flour at me in mock revenge. That simple act, the ease of laughter, the absence of pretension, etched itself into my memory. I knew these were the moments I would carry with me forever, the foundation of something deep and lasting. Weekends were for adventures beyond campus. We took walks through nearby parks, trails lined with pines and birch, leaves crunching beneath our feet. We spoke openly about our futures, ambitions, and fears. She shared her dreams of research projects and career plans, while I admitted my anxieties about what lay ahead. In those candid moments, I felt the rare, profound comfort of being completely understood, being seen truly, without pretense. That kind of intimacy was intoxicating, grounding, and utterly reassuring. Challenges still arose, though they were easier to face now. Friendships sometimes tested our boundaries. Ex-boyfriends or jealous classmates cast uneasy glances, or spread small rumors, but we confronted each challenge together. I learned that a resilient relationship isn't built on avoidance. It's built on honesty, trust, and the willingness to face adversity side by side. We developed an unspoken rhythm when tension arose. We leaned on each other, communicated openly, and moved forward without letting negativity take root. Nights often found us atop her dorm roof, wrapped in blankets, staring at the starry sky. We spoke of childhood memories, favorite books, the kind of people we wanted to become, and dreams that had seemed too fragile to voice before. At times, words weren't necessary. We'd sit quietly, hands entwined, hearts beating in unison, listening to the soft hum of campus life below. Those nights taught me that intimacy isn't always verbal. It can be the comfort of presence, the unspoken reassurance that someone else is there and that they care deeply. Holidays brought their own rhythms, mixing family obligations with small acts of connection. FaceTime calls, late-night texts, little surprise gifts. These gestures kept us connected even when miles apart. Distance no longer felt threatening. It became another way to show commitment. Our bond was not dependent on constant proximity, but on consistent emotional availability. Every message, every call, every check-in reinforced that we were choosing each other daily. Winter came, and the campus was blanketed in snow. Walking through icy paths, the soft crunch underfoot, I felt her hand in mine, radiating warmth that no coat could provide. She murmured softly, "It feels different now. I'm not scared anymore. Being with you just feels right." I squeezed her hand, understanding that she was speaking not just about us, but about the safety, trust, and freedom we had cultivated together. "It does," I replied, "and we'll keep making it feel right every day." As the semester drew to a close, we reflected on how far we had come. Heartaches, misunderstandings, and uncertainty had all become threads woven into the tapestry of our story. Each challenge, each trial had strengthened us, teaching patience, empathy, and resilience. We recognized that love wasn't static. It was dynamic, growing with each experience and adapting to new circumstances. One quiet night before winter break, we sat by the frozen lake, reflections of the moon and dorm lights shimmering on the icy surface. She rested her head on my shoulder, whispering, "Thank you for staying, for believing, for being patient." I hugged her close, feeling gratitude flood me from every angle. I should be thanking you for trusting me, for letting me be part of your life, for letting us grow together. In the following weeks, even when apart for holidays or family visits, we continued nurturing our connection. We shared stories from our childhoods, compared notes on holiday traditions, and even challenged each other to small adventures, learning new skills, cooking unfamiliar dishes, or taking late-night walks in unfamiliar towns. These moments reinforced our bond, making it stronger despite distance and distractions. By the time spring arrived, we had developed a profound understanding of one another. We anticipated each other's moods, intuitively knew when to give space, when to offer support, and when to simply share silence. Our relationship had transformed into a partnership based on trust, patience, and unwavering support. Every decision, every shared experience, every playful argument or quiet conversation had laid the groundwork for something lasting and resilient. On one particular evening, as cherry blossoms began to bloom across campus, we walked through a quiet path lined with petals. She looked at me with a mixture of determination and tenderness. "Whatever comes next," she said softly, "I want to face it with you." I don't want to imagine a future without you. I took her hands in mine, feeling the pulse of her life synchronize with mine, and said, neither do I. We'll face it all together, and no challenge will ever be too great. As the semester concluded, we knew that our story was no longer about uncertainty or the tentative steps of new love. We had built a foundation of shared experiences, resilience, and mutual respect. Our connection had matured into a steady, enduring love that could withstand challenges, distance, and the unpredictability of life itself. And so, we walked forward into the future, hand in hand, hearts open and full of hope. Each step, each shared laugh, each quiet moment became a testament to the bond we had nurtured together. We weren't just lovers, we were companions, partners, and equals, ready to embrace whatever chapters lay ahead. The journey was just beginning, and for the first time, I felt completely certain, together, we could face anything with patience, laughter, and a love that had been tested, refined, and proven unbreakable.